Hello and welcome back to another episode of the It's Not Orange podcast. Tonight we'll be reviewing the Barnsley Heartbreakers. Blackpool concede a last-minute goal to lose another away game, unfortunately, after controlling most of the second half. So we'll discuss all of that and look ahead to this weekend's important clash versus Northampton. Who would have thought going into the weekend that Bloomfield Road against Northampton would be a six-pointer that we must win to give us a bit of comfortability in the league, I suppose. We don't want to be losing that one and obviously looking over our shoulder even more than we already are, but not the most ideal start for Ian Evatt over this Christmas period. But we will look ahead, hopefully, to more positive things when it comes to signings, retro kits, and of course, the game on the weekend. First and foremost, let me eventually introduce you to Martin. How are you doing, bud?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday. I think probably more than I would have been after last Saturday, if you know what I mean, because we've signed a couple of certainly potentially exciting players, and I think it should be a more positive kind of vibe on Saturday, I think, because if we hadn't signed anybody, I think it would have been a little bit doom and gloomy again, although, you know, we're in a better place than we were under Bruce, in my opinion. But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, it's taken, what, less than 30 seconds, and you've mentioned the word Bruce already.
It's not Appleton.
It's not Appleton. I don't know. That's Big Dog Walker. Let's just put a more positive spin. Ennis is back, always is positive. Obviously coming on the second half against Barnsley, I thought he would have got the winner, but alas, it didn't quite fall to him. Of course, we'll go into all of that. But first, Martin, it's probably important to share a bit of light-hearted good news. And the podcast chat earlier, of course, we're very happy to see what you see in front of us right now, and that is, of course, the new retro shirt that Blackpool have just released. Back in your prime, this shirt, wasn't it?
I was 6, thank you. 5. Thank you very much. 5 years of age. I don't remember it. I've seen it in pictures like you, Tom. This is where me and you are equal. I've never seen this kit in the flesh. Apart from one thing I will say. A mate of mine who's a Carlisle fan came to Blackpool about 10 years ago, went to a charity shop and actually bought one of these for £2.50, right? And I am not joking. And then sold it for about 450 quid 3 weeks later. And I am not joking. And it's the closest I've ever been to seeing one. And when I saw this today, I genuinely thought somebody had mocked it up. And when I looked again, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Two of the best shirts in our history, and it's amazing to be able to think we can own one from tomorrow, even though it is a retro replica, but stunning from the club. That really good, and the fact that the Umbro badges are on and all the detailing just makes it superb. It's the archetypal ultimate Blackpool shirt. You'll never need 2 more Blackpool shirts. If you ever buy 2 Blackpool shirts, buy these 2.
This isn't a commission paid ad from Martin and Blackpool Football Club. I can assure you that.
No
I've been deciding for about an hour and a half now which one to buy. I think I'm going to start with the tangerine one and then move on to the white one. But it's an incredibly beautiful shirt, I look forward to owning it, and hopefully it does fit well. And it, like you said, it's good to see the sort of Umbro. I don't know if they made the shirt, or if that makes sense, or if they got permission for us to put it on, but I'm assuming they hopefully had a hand in making them, because the quality of the Umbro and Castor stuff is obviously very good. So a lot of the group really like the shirt as well. It's a stunning top, tremendous top, absolutely. Very smart. Love the Tower Power badge, absolutely. Yeah, something different as well. Of course, we haven't had the Tower Power badge since the black shirt.
No, we've got it in this season's third kit.
Oh, it's this season's third kit. Yeah, sorry.
Which you're trying to...
faux pas of me. I'm trying to forget about it, even though you like it. It is better in the flesh, but yeah. My favourite one was the black one. That was quite nice, considering the haunting black kits we've had over the years, I suppose. So, come on to talk about the lineup, if I must, Martin. I don't want to remind anyone of the game. KB Slicker said he's going for the tangerine one. I think I'm going to start with that, and the white one is trying to pull me in though. But enough about me and my choices. Martin, we'll talk about the lineup. A debut for Grant, as Peacock Farrell started in goal as he usually does. Wonder if he had an impact on the game. We never know. Grant, Casey and Ashworth made the back 3, with Lyons and Hamilton at fullback. Bowler in the 10. I know this doesn't replicate the formation, but Bowler in the 10 with Brown and Honeyman in midfield. Bloxman, Fletcher, of course, up front. Ennis not fit enough, or not wanting Evatt to start him. Let's start with the signing of Grant. Then, obviously, as the player we desperately needed, not necessarily him himself, but he had a fairly decent debut, in my opinion. 6 out of 9 ground duels won, 1 out of 3 aerial duels won, but he looked relatively solid on the ball considering he only played sort of 1 or 2 games so far this season, and one of those was obviously a shocker in the FA Cup, but a unit of a lad and someone you want to see as a centre-back in terms of being physical as well. So a good welcome addition to the club, albeit on loan. If it's successful, of course, no reason why we couldn't turn a player like that into a signing.
Yeah, I think the Millwall fans were pretty realistic about him, really. That I think he's from where they're trying to get to, he's possibly a bridge too far for him at the moment, but perfect for League One. And he seemed quick. He's like you say, he's a big lad. He's exactly what we've needed, I think, especially with the injury crisis, like you say. So from what I saw of him, obviously, and it's only one game. He looks like a really good addition that will probably get better, and hopefully under Everett's guidance. Because if you're going to be coached by somebody, it might as well be a centre back that played all those games in pretty much every division of English football over his career. So if he can't learn from Everett, he can't learn from anyone. So good signing. Another one that was totally under the radar. We didn't know anything about it. I had to look him up, obviously, like we often do with these players. But he looks a good player, and I'm sure he'll be a good addition once he settles in properly.
Yeah, for sure. Casey Ashworth, I kind of liked at centre back. Of course, I like Ashworth. He seems a player that gives his all, and maybe gives away some silly fouls at times, but kind of take that for the quality that he shows. I mean, we talk about Imre. I'm still heartbroken by it all, and still kind of thinking about the craziness that is football in the Premier League. I suppose that Parish wanted him back. Glasner had no intentions of playing him, and now Munoz is back for the weekend, and they're happy with Klein and him as backups, and Devaney, and he's not going to probably get a look in. And we've now obviously signed another 3 loan players. We're going to have to drop a loan from the matchday squad if we're going to bring him back, which obviously we would do. But what a way to ruin someone's season potentially if he doesn't get another move in, Ray, because he's lucky he didn't play any minutes on Saturday, because he would only have to come back to us if he wasn't going to be paid by Palace. But I'm naturally quite biased. But what Everett was doing with Imre and what he was getting out of Blackpool, granted, he elevated the team and we need him probably more than he needs us. But he needs game time and he needs to develop and show the world somewhat like a fire, etc. When you get these loan moves, that it could result in £3-4 million going into your bank account and you get regular Championship football. So I'm absolutely devastated for first and foremost for Ian Everett, who in my opinion, he thought Imre was. You just saw it against Carlisle, didn't you? We alluded to it when he went down. Everett put his head in his hands and he was devastated just from the cup game, let alone what he wants to do with him in the future. And obviously he played a big part in Blackpool's sort of decent form, etc. And now he's, he might get a move. Who knows? He might come back. It's very hard to tell, isn't it, in this current market? But Palace are an absolute whirlwind at the moment, and Imre's probably come off the worst he could possibly think of.
I think you're right. It does show up the kind of crappy side of football sometimes. I mean, first of all, it's easy to say this because we're on the receiving end of it. But I do think that you shouldn't be able to recall a loan play with 24 hours to go, especially a Premier League club to a League One club. I think it's an absolute joke that that's allowed. And it won't be the only time it's happened. And I'm sure it's happened loads of times. I just haven't noticed it. But it does. I think
we let Finnegan play his game, didn't we? I think Everett said we're going to recall him Saturday night, basically. Yeah.
I think really what's happened here is that it would seem it's probably political. Parish and Glasner are clearly at opposite ends of. They're just not in agreement over anything. He's brought him back because apparently he likes him. Glasner's no intention, like you say. And the poor lad could end up in limbo. I hope if he doesn't come back to us, he does get a good move, because he doesn't deserve to be shunted in and out for the sake of what could potentially be a bit of an argument, I think. Because like you say, Munoz is fit again, and he's probably not going to have a sniff, is he? Let's be honest. So it's just a waste, really. And he was absolutely loving it here. I've no doubts about it. And it's just, and he is so important to us. This isn't just some sort of centre-back that you can replace. The wing-back is such a specialist position. And to have him ripped out of the team like that, knowing that you don't have any replacements for him either, and we still don't, is nothing short of criminal. And it's horrendous. I know, like Kurt has said a lot in the chat, and I agree with him to a certain extent, that these things shouldn't be a shock, and you have to have some sort of plan in place. But I just get the feeling that they never saw this coming, and if you don't see it coming, you can't get. I don't think we'll get any better than Danny Imre if we try until next Christmas to sign somebody. He's just a different level to what we play at the moment, and I just think he's the one lone player that if you lose him, you are generally not going to be able to replace him with as good, unless of course they've got something up the sleeve that is amazing.
Yeah, that'd be Danny Imre back on loan.
That'll do.
Salah could sell his whole flock of horses, or stable of horses, shall I say, just to pay for his right boot. But in all seriousness, I think Kurt's. We're not going to get Danny Imre, just like we probably didn't really replace Adele, right?
Yeah.
But this, I don't know if it's a Blackpool thing. I don't know if it's an EFL thing, and I really don't want to be critical of us. But we've had 3 or 4 years now under Downs and Winter of, well, mainly Downs, obviously recruitment, of being unprepared for the worst case scenario. Now, the Critchley thing obviously was out of the blue, but no doubt conversations are being had. But that took another 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks to come to fruition and appointing a new manager. What if Danny Imre does get recalled? What happens next? Oh, we don't actually know because we don't expect it. It's probably a poor business reasoning. Now, if we don't replace and we're stuck with Hamilton, you said it's a special position. It is probably one of the most important parts of the team. What do we do now? Do we go out and buy? Because, like you said, someone said in the group, Banks, even Mike Banks would be one to sacrifice if we were to get Imre back. He's a good player, but just doesn't fit our system.
Yeah,
I'm devastated that he's not being used. I say properly, but if at all, it's really frustrating that you're happy to watch a Lions or Hamilton play ahead of him when Hamilton can't defend. So what is your argument that Banks isn't playing? I don't really know, apart from pace, and Banks isn't really that slow. And Mike's also said, I think Palace fans are annoyed because they know he's not going to play and he was doing well under us. So there should always be a plan B in place, and there still might be. The fact that one hasn't come in the form of any player in defence this week probably suggests there wasn't a plan. Everett did use the words in his pre-match around ball with the official site that the business we've done so far is good. So that I hope means more players are coming in, but they would have to be perms, or we're going to have to sacrifice loan players, aren't we? And if Banks is that, I would only really be happy for Banks to be replaced by Imre. But on the flip side to that, if he's not going to start, then he should go and flourish elsewhere, because I think he's an absolutely exceptional talent. And you know, watching the defence / attack of CJ Hamilton on Saturday, and I'm not just criticising him, he's not my sacrificial lamb, but that's a specialist role which is immediately blunted, just like it was when Husband played there, because he can't do both sides so fluidly like a player like Imre did. So, and Banks is much more fluent in that area. So
there seems to be a suggestion from online. I know obviously it is a silly season, but to be fair, this is quite a measured. The person who posted this before on AVFTT was saying that we are apparently quite close to signing a defender. There's no names given, but we are quite close. And this came from somebody who's reported the last 2 or 3 transfers as being ball on. So not he wasn't boasting about it. He was just saying, from what I've heard, we're quite close to signing a defender. So if that is true, you know, it's going to have to be permanent, because, like you say, another loan means we've got to sacrifice somebody. But we have to get permanent signings in now. So let's hope that's right.
Yeah, yeah. We'll come on to talk about the signs in a sec, but yeah, let's talk about the game then. I'll stop sharing my screen for a second. Early doors, Grant's header, 9 minutes in, he nearly met it with ferociousness in terms of hitting it straight back into the net, but because he was so off balance, obviously it went out almost for a throw-in. But it was good to see him physically get ahead of the defender, but unfortunately I think it was a bit of tussling in the box. But a half decent corner, which seems to have kind of lost the creativity, you know, whipping the ball on the edge of the box or going short and getting the ball in like we were doing. We seem to be going back to crossing them in a little bit more now, and we still haven't scored from a set piece yet from memory.
Nope.
It's been difficult to gather the last time we did, and it's probably obvious. And a couple of weeks ago, I've had a very long week, so apologies if I've forgotten one. But we seem to have a lot of chances from corners, especially Horsfall over the last few months, and we just haven't scored one. But decent sort of tempo and start to the game, somewhat, and a half decent opportunity for Grant.
Yeah, Yeah, it would have been a dream start, wouldn't it? But I don't know. Probably wasn't ready for it. I don't know. But he looks like he could be a threat at set pieces, which we haven't had for. We should be more of a threat. I mean, Fraser Horsfall, when he's fit, should be scoring 4 or 5 a season, I think, from set pieces. And Casey could do it as well. You know, it's just an area. It's a basic area of the team that under successive managers we haven't been very good at, and we've got to get better at it. And again, Everett was a handful at set pieces, and he knows what's required. But you're right. I think around Christmas time we were being quite inventive. Well, we were playing well and winning games, but we were being quite inventive, weren't we, from set pieces? And it has gone back to being a little bit sort of basic again. So I think you know, hopefully there's more to come on that. But you do need really good delivery. And some of our players flatter to deceive in that department. They should have good delivery on them, but I don't know. We're lacking in something in that department, because we should be utilising that. We do have quite a tall, you know, when everyone's fit, we've got quite a tall back line, but it's not being utilised in that attacking way, is it? So
yeah, with the height we've got, we're not scoring enough goals. You're absolutely right. Victor Walker, welcome again, mate. And we really need to sign a out-and-out wing back before the window shuts. Yeah, completely. Possibly either 2 on either side. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Banks does go, and we do get a specialist in that area and a permanent. Who knows? But also a solid goalkeeper for 2 seasons with lone goalkeepers, and Bailey Farrell has had far too many howlers. Yeah, some decent saves, but overall, probably not as consistent as we want. Mike said it's the young centre back from Aki. I think this Ben Ward, is it?
Yeah,
he's left-footed. I think it's Ward. He's been chased by a few clubs. He looks at a real good talent. So wouldn't say no to a long-term project like him, especially if it's permanent as well, and obviously quite local. Will have some part to play. Savata said Finnegan looked good when he came on. Yeah, absolutely agree. And do we have 6 out of contract in the summer? I think we'll do a bit of work on what's left. But about 4 or 5 players got options. Evans hasn't. Oh, my heart bleeds. But yeah, we'll have to see what comes at the end of the season, because we've got another potential rebuild on our hands. But how to solve a problem? Let us know in the comments if you think it was 2 yellows. Martin Everett said that since the red card at Husband's red card, it's kind of seemed like the world's against us and things are not going our way. Whether you create your own luck, who knows? But it was a tug of the shirt and then a late challenge. And lo and behold, off at half time, obviously to avoid any further sanction. But to probably, if the first one's a yellow, the second one is absolutely a yellow. The second's more the yellow than the first. By the letter of the law, they're both yellows. And once again, we don't get the decision. I'm not going to feel sorry for ourselves, but it was absolutely 2 yellow cards, in my opinion. He should have been off. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been subbed.
Absolutely. It was so blatant, and people were saying it in the chat. He's being hooked at half time because they were a lucky escape, and they can keep 11 men on the pitch and get away with it. I don't expect anything less from the standard of referee, and it is by far this is the worst era of refereeing at the level that we play at that I've ever seen. We always used to slag certain referees off, and people like, whoever, certain names would always crop up as referees. Now you can't remember most of them, apart from that fella that lives in Preston. But apart from that,
Vera Duckworth.
They're just kind of like faceless individuals, aren't they? But the overall standard is absolutely shit. But however, having watched a lot of Premier League football recently in Carabao Cup, I've changed my mind completely about VAR being at the EFL. Don't give it me, because I don't want to celebrate a goal and then wait 5 minutes to see if I've made a fool of myself or not. Just can't be bothered with that. But the
second yellows wouldn't come into play anyway, would they? So
they've got to get better.
It seems very League One standard. It seems like no one's adjudicating these games, and maybe you do give Husband a red. Maybe I'm biased. If I saw it, would I think about it differently? I don't know. It's hard because it's a Blackpool player, isn't it? But I just think you look at some of these tackles, and there was a tackle in that same Port Vale game, and I forgot who. I think it was on Casey.
It was.
He absolutely yangs him from knee to shin after he's kicked the ball, and it's 2-footed against his leg. Casey goes down and gets given as a free kick, but the still is horrific. It's a straight red if a VAR looks at it, but again, I think no, it was either no foul or something stupid. But there's just lots of inconsistency. Oh, national, thank you, Mike. But yeah, it's just particular. Look, I'm not. We should have been better in that game. We shouldn't have conceded 5. We shouldn't have crumbled. We shouldn't capitulate. We should have been better against Barnsley. I get all of that, but it's one of these things that Everton must be sort of reeling over because we take a little bit more control of the game. It obviously pans out a lot differently. Who knows? But it's frustrating. And as Mike said, there's no reason why he should have been subbed at half time. Otherwise, on to more positive things again. That man, Ashley Fletcher, putting the defender under pressure. Yeah. I don't think he did need to do a lot to win the ball back because the defender, I don't know what he's doing. No. He went right and his head went left, but he lost the ball. And I think the pressure that Fletch, produced was fantastic. He obviously nicks it in and plays a delightful ball to Bloxham. Now, please let me know in the chat if you think Bloxham really did F up the chance. For me, the moment he takes the first touch, he drills with his right into the left-hand corner, and Goodman has absolutely no chance. But instead, he shifts right again and shoots right, which gives Goodman the chance to sort of compose himself and obviously make the goal a little bit smaller. But I think most strikers would like to hit that first time across the goalie or take a touch and drill it into the left-hand side. But he does neither of the two and gives himself probably some doubt. I don't know, Martin, your opinion on it, but for me, he absolutely should score. Is it an absolute sitter? I don't know, but it should be 1-0 in my opinion.
It's not an absolute sitter, but it's a poor choice, isn't it? And again, I think a lethal striker who's had a career behind them of scoring 15 to 20 a season is probably going to hit that first time with that instinct. But he's a winger that's been converted into a striker, and I do think he's done. I think I looked up the other days. He started 13 games as a centre forward for us and scored 5. That's not bad. And Everett sees him in that.
He scored harder chances.
Yeah, definitely. He has. Yeah, I know. Well, he's one of those players, isn't he? I mean, remember the Cardiff game when he had about 15 chances and he eventually bagged one, didn't he? But he should have had about 4 that day. He's not a natural finisher. And he may, I don't think he possibly ever will be. But, if Ennis has got that chance, he probably drilled.
Remember Exeter when he flicked over the defender's head, went round the keeper and tapped? What's not natural about that? But it's off the wing. I get it. I totally get that part. But it's in front of goal, isn't it? So I'm not criticizing.
That was different level. That was a worldie. But I think the bread and butter kind of snapping up of chances, like say a fit Jordan Rhodes in his heyday would have done. No, he's not that kind of guy, is he?
No, totally.
But yeah, look. And the problem is, it's his first real chance of the game, and maybe if that happens 15, 20 minutes, who knows? Yes, he should have hit the target at least. Of course, he should. So, yeah, it's poor decision making really, because by the time he takes that extra touch, there's defenders covering it, and the chance has gone really on it. It's just lack of clinical finishing really, which we've been guilty of all season.
Yeah,
from whoever.
Yeah, marks, but he definitely balls that I've made the wrong choice. But yeah. If he scores that, are we calling him a striker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Fletcher scored the rebound? Obviously, tight angle, could have gone with the outside of his boot, but he kind of side foots it more to the left, right? So, a good opportunity for Paul nonetheless, which capitulated 3 minutes later with Kamara Grant having a bit of composure on the ball, go back to the goalkeeper whose head went on Mars for about 3 seconds. Gave McGoldrick the opportunity to score from 30-odd yards. If he wasn't stupid enough for the pass, do you think he should do better at reacting to the mistake he made rather than letting the ball go a couple of yards?
I do. I
don't know if I'm being... This is going to sound really bizarre. I don't know if I'm being overly critical by saying he should try and save it, because he's made the most horrendous mistake. Should he do better? Regardless, absolutely. Should he try and attempt to save the ball rather than watching it go past him? I would probably argue that I would like to see a bit of reaction to it. I think he was in utter shock, which either adds to the fact that, how bad a mistake it was, or 2, he's just got that in his locker.
Well, we talk a lot in football about giving goals away, and often, but still sometimes the opposition have to do something to earn it. I mean, literally, it's not even as a result of an attack by Barnsley. It's our possession, which we should be comfortable in. And it is literally it's Christmas time for McGoldrick. I know he still had a bit to do, But to be honest, any professional footballer with an open goal is all they've got to do is roll it along the ground from 30 yards, should be scoring. It is an absolute calamity, head gone moment, like you said, heads on Mars. And yeah, his reaction is, "Oh, balls up," and football fans hate that kind of. Even if it's a lost cause, football fans go, "Go on, chase it, do something," and like just to stand there and go, it's shit. I think he sums up our entire season. 1 minute he's really, really good, and you think we've sorted it. Next minute he's having an absolute Pete. It's all gone Pete Tong with him, and he sums up our season. Frustratingly inconsistent and all over the shop 1 minute and very good the next, and you can't have that with a goalkeeper. He's made too many errors. A month ago,
because when you build a momentum,
yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was at fault. Obviously, Port Vale or
no.
How there's so many goals there, but yeah, and then Bradford really. I mean, one worldie and then horrific defending again by Hamilton and Ashworth wasn't letting him drift past. But I mean, when you build a momentum, you need some solidarity at the back, and we either make silly mistakes in defence or we just have a goalie that literally still thinks it's Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's indefensible. It really is indefensible to just give a team a goal like that without having to break sweat, earn it, or anything. It's not like I say. It's not even an action that the team have done. It is simply a case of. It's not even a trap. You know, Everett talks about setting traps. It's not a trap. It's that there's nobody near him to start with, and then he just. If anything, it's a lazy. Do you not think it's a lazy pass? So half. It's a half.
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's genuinely stupid.
Yeah. Well,
it's beyond lazy in my opinion. He's just put his foot. He's not even put his foot through the ball. He's just.
Yeah.
He's almost laid a layoff. You know, in training, you lay them off for a shot. He's just and McGoldrick's. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a good finish. I said this at the start of the season. I think someone laughed at me. He said, 36-year-old McGoldrick, don't make me laugh. But I think if he was up front for us at points in this campaign, we would have won so many games because
probably.
I mean, the goal is the winner, which we'll come on to in a minute. Obviously, he isn't a good goal in our perspective, but the geezer's 30-odd years, 36, 37 years of age, and he's going until the 93rd minute and beating defenders on a counter attack.
Yep.
I mean, he's got a lot of energy and a lot of experience about him. We definitely he would have scored blocks on the right?
Does it count beating CJ?
10 men. Like I said before, that's why he's in League One. And Jake Beasley scored again. He scored more goals for Burton this season than he did it all his time at Blackpool, and he scored some worldies as well. Fair play to the lad. Bowyer knows how to get a tune out of him. Clearly, we'll talk about the second half, Martin, because how do we surmise it? Really, I think if we come away from this game with a draw, I think we'd be frustrated not to win. We've come away with a loss, and we're frustrated on how the earth we haven't even drawn the game. Of course, control of the second half. I think arguably. If you take a look, they had one shot on target, and we all know how that resulted. Barnsley weren't really in the game. We had 7 shots, 4 on target. They literally had, the one shot on target. And how do you surmise that second half? Good control, I think. I think. Sorry, I was about to say good control of the game in terms of keeping the ball. We started to grow a lot more into the game, and we'll talk about Fletcher's goal and creating chances now. But Fletcher obviously winning the ball back, pass the ball to Honeyman. I finally like to see some creativity from Honeyman. Finds a decent pass.
Yep.
I don't really blame Honeyman for a bad performance, especially for the second goal. But I need to see more from the midfield, and I know you want to talk about that as well. But we did generally control the game, fairly good possession in the ball. We won a lot more ground duels. I think, we were working very hard, and Everett's probably quite proud of that performance at 1-1. But we talk a little bit about the goal. It's another opportunity where Fletcher's won the ball back, like Carlisle when he started making chances, etc. But lays a good ball to him and asks for the ball back, and it's a lucky finish. He goes to roll it into the far left-hand side, obviously, but it ends up deflecting past Goodman into the goal. But again, it's 15 league goal contributions this campaign, 11 league goals, 4 assists, and obviously more in the cup as well. And the geezer has not had yet a bad turn of form in the league, has he? He's been ever so consistent and is on course, obviously, for a minimum, say 15 goals, maybe 16, 17 goals, plus more assists to come, hopefully. But good to see him get a goal, obviously, and get us back into the game. And at that point, there probably was only one winner.
when you are on fire, which he has been certainly since Everett took over, those things go in. Whereas if you're struggling, they just get deflected away and don't go anywhere near, do they? So you do create your own luck, and sometimes you do create your own goals, as someone's just said. They're absolutely right. Like I say, I just think it's confidence. I just think he gets shots off, and he's expecting to score now for the first. I reckon this might be the first time in his career where he probably walks onto that pitch thinking he's the main man up front who's actually backing it up with goals and goal contributions. Like you say, 20 contributions in a season, and we're only in January, is far from what I thought he was going to produce, to be honest, certainly a year ago. But yeah, it's a lucky finish. But we probably, like I say, we shouldn't have been behind because it was a stupid goal, as we said before. So we deserved it, and I think with a bit more quality, we would have gone on to win that game. And this is the problem with our midfield, isn't it? I think, like we'll talk about, that there is lacking something, and hopefully we might have signed somebody this week who can solve that problem.
Yeah, I think Josh put in the podcast chat earlier, Fletcher's record under Everett is so good: 14 goals, 4 assists in 17 games. And the Playmakers website tweeted today he's scored in 15 different matches this season. It's more than anybody in the whole of the Football League, including the Premier League, more than a certain alien Erling Haaland. Doesn't know where the goal is at the moment, but yeah, the best player in the league, or scored in as the most games across the EFL as well. So every credit to him. But you think Everett's come in 17 games, 14 goals and 4 assists, is over a goal contribution per game.
There you go.
I now expect him to score each game, even the Bradford game. Incredible pass by Lyons, but
yeah,
the Fletcher of old, you'd think, oh god, he just waits and waits and waits like slow motion and just tucks under the keeper superbly. So long may it continue. And he makes me look forward to Blackpool games despite our inconsistent record. So yeah. Every credit. Should we need to talk about the winner? I know we've got a preview to do and we want to talk about some signings, but yeah, Everett said we've overcommitted in the box with the centre backs. It leaves Banks, Honeyman, and Hamilton back.
Yeah,
we leave Hamilton back on corners to stop counter attacks. So one goes past Banks. Banks could take him down. Honeyman is tracking back to his hands to his right. Hamilton has 3, 4, 5 seconds to decide whether he wants to take out his man. Instead, he stands still, puts his arms out, and allows McGoldrick to slide past him like a hot knife through butter and finish. I think Peacock Farrell could do better as well. But for Jesus Christ, can we just learn how to just hit a man whilst he's on a counter attack and take the point?
100%.
This isn't professional football. Well, sorry, this isn't me talking about being a professional footballer. This is, if anyone was on that pitch, you think, crap, it's now about to be 3 against 2, 3 against 3. We have got a point in the last minute. Can I just slide and take the yellow card, please? It's not going to be a red. There's men back. It's in your own half. Hit the man, take the fucking point, and get out of Yorkshire. And instead, we end up looking even more silly because we leave Hamilton behind to defend the goal.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but he cannot defend on a good day, generally. But he's done that against Bradford, where he just allows the player to slide past him. I think Ashworth did the same. What are you doing? Just push him over. Do something that's going to hurt him to stop him creating that chance. It's baffling. And I in my head, I'm thinking, you're happy, you're genuinely happy for him to go past you in the box or just outside the box or on the counter rather than do something to him. Because that's what you've done.
Yeah. One of the things,
mind-boggling.
One of the many things that I do like about an Ian Everett interview afterwards, and regardless whether he won or lost, is that he does talk an awful lot of detail. He talks to us as if we're kind of as if we're sort of football coaches too, and we know what he means. And sometimes I have to think, because he was talking about, we talk a lot about in training about rest defense, and he said rest defense a couple of times, and I had to kind of think, what's he talking about? Oh, right. Okay. I see what you mean. So what you're saying is you're right. 93rd minute away from home, you're holding on to a well-earned 1-1 draw. There's not much left on the clock and there's not much left in the tank. So for Christ's sake, don't overcommit and just let your defence kind of assume their natural positions instead of trying to, I don't know what we were trying to do, trying to win the game. And the problem is you've got the wrong people to make last-ditch tackles, because Scott Banks isn't a defender, and he's not that sort of person who knows how to go through someone. And CJ has been in that position long enough and still doesn't have that instinct or that fire in the belly to absolutely, basically tonk someone.
Yeah,
we're too nice in certain. There are certain players. If Horsfall had been there, for instance, I know he's not the paciest of guys, but he would have gone, or husband, I'm going through you. And you have to. I
think Ashworth would have as well. I know he's on a yellow, but Ashworth might. It wouldn't have been great, but it might have took us.
Any defender would have done. But I think. Well, I say that. No, do you know what? I take that back, because against Bradford, the winner was a train wreck that you could see coming from where I was sat in the north, and we had two defenders there who did the same thing, who just kind of went after you. You've got to be.
They moved out the way. Hamilton moves out the way.
I know.
He literally moves out the way.
Yeah, he does.
What are you like? Honestly. You're not only angry that you've just conceded a goal, like fair play. If McGoldrick smashed one in from 30 yards, you think, oh, for fuck, it's one of them ones you've just lost to an absolute worldie.
Yeah, it's piss
against Bradford. And they've been living off that win all week, Barnes. And don't get me wrong, fair play. They got the win last minute. We would do the same thing, right? I get it, but we were so much better and deserved a lot from that game. And it just takes, the fans deserve it, but to watch numerous times this season, Bradford and this game more recently, genuinely allowed them to walk past you, because you could watch that in slow motion. He puts two hands out half-heartedly and kind of moves his body out of the way. Someone said Banks, but Banks kind of gets beaten early doors on the edge of the box. He probably could slide from behind and try and take him out. Honeyman's tracking his man. He's just going to feed it through if Honeyman goes for the ball. I don't know who to blame, but it's a train wreck. And I know Everett was fuming. He said that won't happen again this season, but it's kind of happened 2 or 3 times already under him. And I'm not blaming Everett.
It probably means in such a crucial moment in the last minute that they absolutely will not be allowed to be in that position. But I don't even think. Do you know what? I don't even think it's lack of desire. I don't. I think it's lack of nous, and it's lack of it's panic. It's panic.
Mike's right here. Hamilton should have jumped on him.
Yeah,
just jump on him.
He should
pull him down.
Probably overthinking it,
Just pull him down.
Yeah, no, exactly. But he'll never ever have that defender's instinct or that sort of bastard instinct, really, which is what we've been talking about. We need to be nastier on the pitch, because League One's a nasty league, albeit with a little bit of quality in it. It's mainly a nasty league, and if you're nasty enough, like Stevenage are nasty, aren't they? You see Stevenage conceding that goal? Probably not. They probably would have cleaned somebody out. What's his name? The number 5 that we can't stand. Piergiani is going in there going, I'm fucking having you, and he would have just taken him out. We need to be less nice.
I'd rather criticise Hamilton for not doing the attacking things right, and he's got to play wing back. He's not a natural wing back. He's not my scapegoat.
Managers keep picking him there.
To try to take him out. Managers are sticking him there. I get it. Ashworth did the same against Bradford. This isn't me saying it's completely CJ's fault, but the whole thing just reeked. A lot of effort went into that game. A lot of effort went into controlling the game. You can come away from that going, I've got a point. The midfield improved. There was a bit of good moments up front, but it reeks and it puts us in a little bit of danger. But anyway, Tony said CJ's no footballing brain. I'll leave that for the commenters in the chat. I'm not going to just solely ring someone out, but infuriating loss. Martin, just 2 quick points, and I'm going to integrate it into the conversation. Joel Randell, I spoke to many fans that aren't Bolton fans who are either bitter about Everett and now Randall leaving, but horrifically negative in the chat when it comes to Bolton fans talk about him. The Joel Randall that played for Peterborough, Everett got a spot on, and if you remember that horrific game we played in the 5-1, he abused us, basically. A very technically gifted footballer. He knows how to dribble. He likes to receive the ball and play it into channels. Got a half-decent shot and knows how to finish in the box. I think he elevates that number 10 role that we haven't really got at the moment. And I wanted to incorporate that into the conversation, whereas I'd probably drop Bowler immediately. If you're not going to trust Bowler there, trust Banks there. If you're not going to play Banks there, get someone who can do the job. That's my stance on it. And I think Randell should come straight into the starting lineup. He doesn't really need game time. He probably won't start. But Everett's a big fan of him. He wanted to spend more than 1.2 million on him. Peterborough weren't allowing him to go. for that amount of money in the summer. He obviously then went just before Everett left, as Everett alluded to. And Everett used the words on the official site as someone who wanted him, someone who needed him, someone who loved him, then leaves after 2 weeks. So he obviously loves Joel Randall. He talks about loving players to make them better, and he's done that with Fletch. He did it with Imre. He's probably done that with Ashworth and a few other players as well. An unbelievable signing, in my opinion. It's frustrating that it's on loan, but you're not going to probably get a high fee in January for him. So it's something that, one, leaves Bowler to be on the bench, or for him to be on the bench and make an impact on the game. It adds another squad number to the list, of course, but also adds probably someone that is technically brilliant at the football club and can make a big difference in our, and I hate to say it, our relegation fight.
I think what makes me laugh about this, first of all, is that so Radio Lanks tonight on X, they showed a little clip of Everett's interview where he says, you know, Joel's the sort of player who just sort of needs to be loved and blah, 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 blah. And Ian Everett is speaking extremely respectfully about the whole situation. He's saying it doesn't help.
He thanked Bolton, and I kind of thank him as well, because we've got a good player on our hands.
He did thank Bolton. He said, you know, I signed him and then left 2 weeks ago, and it can affect someone. Straight away, the pile on X, on Radio Lancashire tweets normally get about 3 people commenting, no matter who you are. All of a sudden, Bolton fans, by the way, Bolton's not even in Lancashire anymore. There's about 25 Bolton fans going, oh, show him some love, Ian. Is that what you did? Well, if you don't... And they all piled on straight away. There is no bigger trigger for Bolton fans to start talking about Ian Everett. And there's definitely a little feeling of... And I work with a Bolton fan who said, God, anywhere but going to you, because I bet you any money he pulls up trees and shows us what a con man he is, because he'll be brilliant for you under his best mate. And I thought, yeah, I hope so. I'll be reminding you every week about it. I honestly think that that he'll start on Saturday, and I think he'll prove a lot of people wrong. He was great in a better side than Bolton have been for a while. You know, for Peterborough, they were a really good team, far better than ourselves or Bolton have been over the past 2 or 3 years. I bet he rips it up here with a manager who shows some faith in him. So, but it is interesting that anything to do with Ian Everett triggers Bolton fans like. So I'm all for this. I hope we sign another one. Dion, I was hoping for Dion Charles, actually. I know he's not a Bolton anymore, but imagine if he comes in and starts banging them in for us. It'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh, and Tom has disappeared. I know. Whoops. God, it's me on my own. I've never felt so exposed. I haven't even got a plan. Stick some comments in the chat, guys. And ask me some questions if you want. Let's kill some time until Tom's internet gets switched back on. Oh, he's here. He's back. Thank God. I thought I was going to riff it for half an hour with no plan.
I think that's what you call karma.
Like Steve Bruce. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll talk about... Yeah, Red, I agree. I think he should start, and I think at the end of the day, he's gonna be a lot more impactful than Bowler. And someone has already asked the question I was going to ask you: is Bowler finished in? I said Blackpool show. He's obviously not finished, but in this system, is he going to be much more of an impact player now?
I think if Joel Randall shows anything like his true form, I think Bowler's going to have to sit on the bench, isn't he, for a bit? I feel sorry for him. He's not the player he was. I think his career is, you know, we talked about it to death. His career has taken a downward trajectory, and coming back here, he obviously came back here to sign to play as a winger, and then he thought, well, I can get.
He was so excited about playing on the wing as well. And
oh my God, I just want to get.
We were rejuvenated by his interview, weren't we?
I don't want Bowler to leave in the summer. I do want him to stay. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think he would stay and fight for his place, but what I love about Everett, again, is ruthlessness. You know, he knows what Bowler means to Blackpool fans, but he needs a specialist 10 because the makeshift 10 isn't really doing it consistently, and that's what we need to be. We can't sit on sentiment. We have to move and improve if we're going to get out of this mini mess that we're in, because it is only a mini mess. We can get out of it easily. We're not in it at the moment. So, yeah, I don't think he's finished, but I think he might have to sit it out for a month, I assume.
And lastly, before we talk about Obafemi and introduce Danny from the All Cobblers to Me podcast, Tony's put, and also just very quickly, thanks, Mark. You do get pelters for your internet. I don't know what just happened to the app. It just crashed. But yeah, I think Brown, I want to like. I'm starting to really dislike. Can't pass. Lost that engine that he had at Leyton Orient because he runs about a lot against Peterborough. Do you remember when, obviously, I'm standing next to you? We were just like so vital in the press, and now he's kind of lost that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what's really happened to Jordan Brown, but it's probably not the signing we all thought he was going to be.
I wouldn't give up on him. I wouldn't.
I'm not giving up on him.
No.
My question is, Honeyman and Brown doesn't work. Evans shouldn't start. What is that three that looks like? And obviously Tony's put Randell, Finnegan, and Honeyman maybe as a 3. But for me, Bowler can't start in the 10. Morgan isn't a 10. Morgan is a 6 with Honeyman, but Morgan's injured again. So what happens Saturday is probably a question for all of you in the chat and as well as Martin. I personally don't know if Finnegan, if he's going to play with 2 8s. So maybe Honeyman is the dictator in midfield, but I think we need that additional support, especially with physical sides, and Nolan will set up to disrupt us. I don't know if the 2 6s really work because they don't seem to know their job. Like against Barnsley, we had more of the ball, so the press wasn't there, but it wasn't there in the first half. They had chances where Reyes clearly sort of went down Ashworth's side and passed it into the box, and they launched it over the bar. They had a chance in the second half where they launched it over the bar at 1-0, and they should have scored 2 or 3 goals despite them not being on target. They were poor efforts, but we're still allowing chances, and either through the middle or getting the ball out wide. So I don't know what Evert's solution is, but do you think Randell, Finnegan and Honeyman's too many changes for the midfield, or do you think it's something that potentially could work?
It might be.
Finnegan's quite lightweight, but I know he battles, but he's quite lightweight.
Randell and Finnegan starting. I see Randell definitely starting, and I see it's difficult, isn't it? I think Honeyman obviously was really good, especially second half, and he laid the goal on. So I think he keeps his place. I can see him going with Evans. I could see him going with Evans. I really, for that sort of pivot, supposedly dictating the play. Although, I mean, the thing is, he can do it. He's more than capable of doing it. But he's again another hopelessly inconsistent player for us at the moment. But I could see that being a 3. But the thing is, I don't know. I mean, obviously we'll talk to our Northampton guests, but I don't know if Northampton are going to come and dictate the middle of the park, or whether whoever you get in there is going to have a lot of the ball. I think the main thing is his quality and what you do with it, isn't it? And Randall's hopefully going to provide some missing quality that we've badly lacked. So I don't know. We're not blessed with it, are we? And I think again, when we get to the summer, this is going to have to be. It will have to be addressed and finished. Once and for all, this ridiculous problem in midfield of just not being good enough. And this is why we are where we are, because we don't have an engine room that dominates games enough, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Going to bring in Danny now from All Cobblers to Me podcast. Evening, Danny. How are you?
Evening. How you guys doing? All right.
Sorry. Yeah. So sorry about the delay. With
no, that's so good.
I mocked Martin because I thought he had internet issues, and then StreamYard decided to close itself whilst I was just talking. So I didn't even touch the computer. Danny, I want to get your perspective just before we talk about our game on the signing, and I'll get the group chat's opinion on it as well, of Michael Obafemi, obviously someone that scored 12 goals a few years ago in the Championship with Swansea, went for 7 million with Vincent Kompany. Seemed to have quite a bright future upon him, but obviously he's scored probably about 4 or 5 goals since in a few years and not played many games. But it also feels kind of weird that someone of his millions and millions have gone, and with his potential, still quite young, is playing for a League One side, regardless of being Blackpool. But what was your thoughts of an outside fan of Blackpool signing Michael Obafemi?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the name, I was like, I think I remembered his time at Southampton and coming through there, and like you said, the time at Swansea, and I thought it's a name you remember as a kind of young up and comer, isn't he? Is someone who you think who was going to be like the next one to progress from that system, and you just think, oh, that's a huge signing for League One. I did a little bit of research, and you kind of can see that he hasn't played too much, but as a raw kind of talent, still, he's still maybe that kind of spotlight on him when he was young wasn't the greatest thing for him, and he is sort to go elsewhere and stuff. But I mean, for a League One side, and especially for yourselves as well, that's a huge signing. And I'm the main thing that I was kind of worried about is he fit and ready to go, and is he going to be firing straight away? Because your attacking talent in general is great. Compared to a lot of the teams down there, but thankfully, hopefully, he's not going to be starting, especially on Saturday. So fingers crossed, might be a little cameo maybe. But yeah, I mean, cracking signing for you. I think if you can get the Michael Obafemi that we've seen in the past, then that's a positive for you, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And Everett's a big admirer of him, Martin. But someone said, I'm glad we specialise in players with hamstring because his last 6 injuries have been a hamstring. And I just sat and laughed and went, he'll be out like Joe Taylor was or still is. He'll have 2 games and then go off again, and we'll just have to enjoy his loan spell for a few weeks, I suppose. But if we can see him start a game, Martin, in the near future, or even sort of come on with half an hour to go, what a ridiculously physical, fast specimen we've got up front, I suppose, if he can continue to sort of get fitter and stay fit, because not only do we need someone to run the channels and maybe a bit more natural than blocks them, but imagine him coming on, or Ennis coming on, or both of them starting, and or Fletcher, one of those starting, and then obviously someone else coming off the bench. It's relentlessly consistent, isn't it? And it's only good for our forward line, but it's also obviously a risk in the fact that he hasn't played a lot of football.
Yeah, the reviews are not good, are they? I mean, if he was a hotel, you wouldn't stay in him, would you? Well, a Swansea fan, he had his best spell at Swansea, and a Swansea fan went, the worst trainer in the EFL returns to England. Now, that's not exactly good. Not many people get that tag of being the worst trainer in the EFL. I don't know, he looks to me like he's kind of a bit too laid back, and maybe that's what he hasn't, he needs to get that fire in his belly. But the cynical part of me says there's a reason why he's here, because he is not exactly, they're not knocking the door down for him, because regardless of the reputation that he's had as a £7 million signing, he has got raw talent. But how many of these players have we seen that have got raw talent and they just slide down the leagues and they end up, so I'm listen, if he can capture his form, great, but I'm relying on Ennis, Fletcher and Bloxham right now, and I do think he's a fourth cog in the wheel, or a fourth man, an extra striker if we really need it. But I'm not expecting too much, I've got to be honest.
I love it. I love that Michael Obafemi becomes your fourth striker. We've got none. We've got maybe 1.5.
Well, I prefer Bloxham to play. I'd prefer Bloxham to play in the 10, if I'm honest, and then but that's a time for another conversation. But it is also laughable when there's a few Burnley individual, not just one person, replying to Burnley's post saying, "I forgot he played for us."
There you go.
Anyway, we've kept you way too long, Danny. Thank you for joining us. You're always a delight to have on. And if I said to any Blackpool fan, and I don't mean this respectfully, that Northampton is going to be a massive game for this season, I'd probably be on the side that Northampton are pulling up trees and having a special season. And I suppose if Northampton fans would feel the same as well. And again, I don't mean that disrespectfully, because like we spoke about yesterday, our signings and who was our manager and so on and so forth. But it turns out that, I don't know if you agreed, I didn't actually ask you that same question, that Saturday, in my opinion, is a 6-pointer, because we both need the win, and a draw doesn't do us any good. That you're in a position that obviously you're kind of used to, and we're not, and it's all to play for on Saturday. But how are you feeling going ahead of the game? Ahead of the game?
A little bit anxious and nervous about it, I think, considering our form. This is probably the longest run of form that we've had, like a dip in form that we've had all season. When we've dipped before, we've lost a couple on the bounce, but we've come back with 2 or 3 wins in a row. We've lost one, we've won one, we've lost one. It's never really been a consistent run of bad form. We lost Ethan Wheatley, who's probably the out and out striker that we had on loan. He's been classically recalled by Man United not to play for them, ironically, but to potentially loan out again. I think it's going to go to Bradford by the looks of it, which happens quite a lot. You would have seen it as well over the years. I mean, you've just seen it with Danny Imre as well. It just happens so much, doesn't it? More these days, I think. So that was frustrating. So form's dipped again in the new year. Got hammered by Burton 5-1, I think, on our traditional Boxing Day hammering. Got beat on Huddersfield, which is no disgrace, but then got a couple of points and then lost again at the weekend. So it really is the biggest dip that we've got. So that's the concerning thing, and we need something to lift us. We need a performance and a result on Saturday to lift us back up again. I do think it is. I do love the word 6-pointer. I do love an early what are we on, January 6-pointer, which is great. I think a point would be a better point for us than it would be for you. Going into it, if we can get through these next couple of games and get 4 points, we've got Rotherham on Tuesday, which is another huge one. We need to pick up the points really against the teams around us, which you are one of them at the minute. But I think I see it as Blackpool is still a very, very strong side, and it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah, the man, as we traditionally do as well, we'll talk about the opposition's manager, and Kevin Nolan's obviously got a vast history in football and been our rival for many years with West Ham, etc. I asked early season what he's kind of brought in, but there was a nice run of form during the season where he seemed to have the squad unified, and there's bangs of the shoe, etc., etc. And it looked like a really nice relationship. And you spoke about your current form, but I think your last one, 19th of December, it seems like a very long time ago. But first and foremost, what has he brought in since being manager, furthermore to when we spoke last? And two, are you happy with him thus far? Because obviously he's very limited with the squad he's got.
Yeah, he's limited with what the budget is essentially as well. But he knew that when he came in. He spoke about that this week, about him knowing what the situation was. We know that we're not anywhere near even the teams around us in the league in terms of budget. We've got to punch above our weight as much as we can. You can start to tell he's getting a little bit frustrated by it now, I think. But he's probably a good person for this position. He's a good man to kind of rile the team back up again. He's like I said, he's proved himself in terms of turning things around when we've hit sticky patches. He kind of hit on something earlier in this season with the front two. We'd been playing with Ethan Wheatley up front on his own, and he tweaked things in the middle of the game against Mansfield when we're behind, when that was going to be a third feet on the bounce, and he's changed it to a top two, put Tom Eaves up there with Wheatley, and suddenly everything changed, and we won 3-0 at Plymouth a couple of weeks later, and everything was looking rosy again. We were looking like we've hit on a formation, but then obviously as soon as Wheatley goes back, everything changes. We've got a couple of injuries to key players that kind of make the midfield transition to the strikers. The strikers coming back, and Wheatley was so mobile, and when we get a couple of injuries, that really, really hits us. Whereas other teams around us maybe don't have that issue because they've got really strong players to bring in. So when it does hit, when Wheatley goes back, when injuries come, then it's naturally going to hit us. So we've just got to kind of hold strong for a little bit now and make sure we try and get out of this quite quickly. So good news for both of us, by the way. Lincoln have just taken the lead against Burton, which have been watching.
So
that's
we're here for that. Yeah. So just talking a bit more about the current form, like you say, there's been a bit of a dip, and we lost 5-1 recently, and it can have a heck of a. We've not recovered from it, mainly because we spent a week to be crying about a sending off, which was unfair. But how the 5-1, there are 5-1s and 5-1s, but for instance that was against Burton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, was it absolutely as horrific as it sounds?
Yeah.
Did it start alarm bells, in terms of, the rest of the season when you lose a game like, because it did for us whenever you ship 5 and we had 10 men, but even so, it is horrific, isn't it? And it's psychologically makes you start to doubt everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this was Boxing Day, so we knew what was going to happen. The last few Boxing Days, it's basically a new Boxing Day tradition for us now. We eat leftovers, get drunk, fall asleep, and watch us get hammered. That's our pillars of Boxing Day now for us, because we tend to lose 3-4, 5-0, 5-1 every Boxing Day now for the last 4 or 5 years. It's a ridiculous stat, I think, when you go back and look at all the results. But we were just all over the place. Defensive errors that didn't really happen before. Passes going astray, which didn't really happen too much before. Players who have been playing really well just having a complete off day, and Burton just punishing us because they don't score a lot of goals. I don't think Burton either, so they were just filling their boots while they could. I think while we were there, we were just end this. It was one of them where everything was going wrong, and we just thought, get it done. I don't particularly think that kick-started this run of form, because we've got a couple of decent points in there against Stockport and Bolton. To kind of put it on the other side of things, it was just seems like our traditional Boxing Day experience at the minute.
Are you one of those teams, do you think, that plays better against the better teams? Because points against Stockport and Bolton, I mean, especially Stockport are our absolute bogey side. We no matter what we do over the years, we seem to really struggle against Stockport, and Bolton away we always struggle, but at home we have an amazing record against them. But are you, I mean, especially I guess Kevin Nolan would have loved going going to play Bolton, wouldn't he? He doesn't need any motivation for that game. But are you better against better teams where you're not fancied? You know, is that how it's going?
Potentially, yeah. I think we beat Bolton earlier in the season as well, 2-0 at our place. So he does like to raise his game, raise their game against the bigger teams. I know it's not something that he'll be like, oh, this is what we do. We want to raise our games against this and this and this. But I do think he quite enjoys it. Even the game against Cardiff when we lost 3-1 at home, we played quite well. The game against Huddersfield at home, we drew 1-1. That was another decent performance. So I do think he enjoys it, yeah, and he enjoys the challenge of that kind of side of things, which you can probably tell from his character that he wants to get in and at teams like that, and really challenge himself. So yeah, we've put in some decent performance against the so-called kind of bigger teams of the league, which there's a lot of these days.
Tony said, "Is Danny surprised by our league position?"
Yeah, absolutely. I had you down top 6, I think, to start the season for sure. I looked at your squad. I looked at, Steve Bruce coming again. He's an experienced man. I thought he might. I thought he'd made some decent signings, and I thought, yeah, you'll be right up there considering your squads. And that's really, as an outsider, all you've got in the summer, isn't it? You kind of look around the league and you think, all you've got to go on is signings. You don't really see pre-season training, anything like that. I think I might have had Stevenage to go down again, as always, which I've been completely wrong about again. Still time given League One, but
no, their form is dipping.
Yeah, they are dipping a little bit. But yeah, completely surprised by what you've got on the books. And even now, I thought you've got that 3-game winning streak, and you're kind of really starting to kick on. But then it's come back again. It's brutal League One at the minute. You just don't know what's going to happen from one week to the next. It's hard to predict anything at the minute.
Yeah. I know we've spoke about injuries and the loss of loans like Wheatley, etc. But just talk to us and the listeners about how you traditionally set up away from home, and sort of key players that make that system sort of thrive when it is going well.
Yeah, so we usually go wing backs, the same as yourselves. We go 3-5-2 with wing backs, and again, quite similar to you by the sounds of it, that we've got players in wing backs who aren't out and out wing backs, who didn't sign as wing backs. We've got Jack Perkins, who signed, I think, as like an attacking midfielder in the summer, a young lad, signed on, but then he's ended up playing left wing back and actually doing pretty well, but he's not a natural left wing back, if that makes sense. On the other side, Sam Hoskins, again, he's been banging in the goals in recent years. Is one of our sort of all-time leading scorers now. Has been here. It's his testimonial year this year. So he's definitely not a right wing back by trade, but he's just got that energy and that experience to get up and down. So that's kind of how we go there. We've got John Guthrie back at the back now, such an experienced head at the back now. It's really, really good to have him back. We've made a sign in Elliot Moore, who's quite experienced as well from Oxford, but he's not ready to play yet, I don't think. And then sort of in the middle, we've got Dean Campbell and Terry Taylor. We've got quite a nice little partnership in the middle of the midfield. I heard Martin before I came on say, are you going to dictate the midfield? And I don't think they're quite that good to do that against you lot, but they're a good balance of each other.
If you put it on the midfield, we've shown, sorry to interrupt, but we've shown that, I mean, Honeyman does a lot, but he's getting older, and he does move well, but he's probably not as battling as he was originally, Martin, like the Huddersfield at home, etc. When he just ran himself into ground. He's had a couple of injuries since. Brown just seemed to shadow his former self. I think if you stick it on us a little bit midfield, you might start to see some benefits from that. And I think Nolan won't be afraid to tell him to do that either. Yeah,
no, definitely. And I think that's, if Cam McGeehan's back, then he'll probably be in for that kind of thing as well, because he pops up at the right time for goals. Sometimes you don't notice what he's doing, but I think he does a lot of hard work. He's got a lot of energy in there. Terry Taylor's got that little bit of quality about him, as well as the bite. So they're going to really need to be on it. And then up front, we've lost Wheatley, like I said, but we've got Big Tom Eaves, who is an old school. You'll know him from the past, but he's an old school striker. And then it'll be one of Elliot List or Jack Vale with him, who are just basically runners who will try and fill the hole that Wheatley did in terms of the energy and all that up front. But there's no real massive goal threat. There's no consistent goal threat up there at the moment, which is what we desperately need, which everybody needs, don't they? But I look around the bottom 4 or 5 in the league, and you see yourselves with Ashley Fletcher, with your signings you've just made. You see Port Vale with the likes of Devante Cole. You see who else are down there? Who else we've got? Rotherham with Sam Nombe. down there as well.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that one striker that can score goals and out of nothing, and I think that's what we're missing at the minute. Tom Eaves will do his best, bless him, but is basically trying to do a little bit too much at the minute to fill the hole that Wheatley left. So it's not the best going forward at the minute. We've just got to try and get goals as we can, and it looks like set pieces will be the best bet for that by the sounds of it.
Yeah. So just taking that a bit further then, so where overall, where would you say that the weaknesses are? Because I think we know where our weaknesses are. We're a little bit weak in midfield, and with the loss of Danny Imre, we are not very strong at wing backs because we recruited in the summer for a manager that didn't play that way, and it's been a curse for us for the past 2 or 3 years. But where in terms of if Blackpool are on it, where can we get at you?
Pace at the back for sure.
Right.
We've got some decent defenders, out and up defenders, but I don't think we've got an awful lot of pace. Nestor Guinness-Walker has been playing as one of the three. He's usually a left back. Ironically, he probably would be a good bet at left wing back, but he's in there, I think, for that pace, to bring that pace to the back three, because the others, we've been playing Max Dyche and John Guthrie, who were both get caught out a fair bit in terms of the pace over the top. So if you can stick balls over the top and get the likes of Fletcher running at us, then that's going to be your way, I think, to get the goals.
Okay. Yeah.
Dangers for Blackpool then. I said where you've had successes, but where through the season, because I know you've been in, I say, bad form in inverted commas. I spoke to you yesterday. It doesn't feel like you've been that bad. It's just you probably, like you said, you've been limited. But if you were going to hurt us, sort of, where do you expect to see the joys to come from for Kevin Nolan's side?
Yeah, I mean, it will be that old school kind of hard work, set pieces, kind of traditional kind of away day performance that I think we need from this one. We need to really dig in. We need to back each other and go back to what we've been doing earlier in the season to get results, and the likes of Bolton and recently get Stockport. We really dug in to get that point. That was a decent performance. Set pieces will be the way, I think. And no, it sounds like we're going to be really boring, but I don't think it is that. It's a working hard type team, which it's just a circumstance really for us. We can't afford to go and pay flashy players to go and run down the wing and have this trickery and to really damage team like a lot of the teams in League One. We've got to be clever about it. We've got to compete. So it's just about grafting and fighting. And if we outfight you, then that'll be at the start, I think, to our best way to try and get a result.
Dennis said, can Denny explain why their attendance is traditionally low despite their very large population? There's a rogue question, but one he wants to ask.
Yeah, I mean, our ground only holds 8,000 anyway, so we've been kind of pushing that, I think, the last few years, so we can't get any more in. It's not full every week, but we do push most weeks 7,500, I think, at the moment. So yeah,
it's not far off what we would produce at home at the moment, Martin. Is there with the big away followings, we hit sort of 9,000 to 11,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody will come out of the woodwork if something big happens. So same with every club, in it.
Of course it is. It's the same here, definitely. Yeah, we I remember when we got 15,000 for our homecoming when we got rid of the Oysters. Next game, 7.5.
Yeah,
the biggest drop off ever. 50% of the crowd decided not to come back.
Yeah.
So,
I know you gave. I won't give anything away. I know you gave your predictions on your podcast, which I'll let you sort of explain in a second. But just give us how you think the game's going to pan out and what is to come on Saturday.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. I think I am concerned by your attack. I think Randall's a really, really clever signing for you. Take some of the load off Fletcher when he's tracking back, and if he can be freed up a little bit to run at us, then that'll cause us a lot of problems. I think our best bet is to try and keep you quiet for 20 minutes, half an hour. If we concede an early goal, I think it's going to be really difficult for us, because I think your support will then get back up again. And it doesn't sound like the last few games have been. You've lost, but it hasn't been a disaster kind of thing. So I think it'll only take one goal early on to get you going again and to get your crowd up. So I think our best bet is to try and keep you quiet and get you frustrated a little bit and try and nick something. You can probably tell I'm a little bit pessimistic about the trip, but we have turned things around quite quickly in terms of bad runs before in this season, and now we're back to a rhythm again, hopefully of less games in the league, especially. We'll try and get something, but it'll be tough, I think.
I'm keeping my mouth shut, mate. We had a Port Vale guest on, and he was 10 times more pessimistic than you, and I was so optimistic that we would get our 4th or 5th win in a row over Christmas.
Yeah.
And
but that's the league, isn't it? Though this season, it's so hard. Like one week to the next. That it's a positive in some ways because you kind of think you can win any game, you can go up against any team, maybe apart from the top 2, and really compete and give them a good game. But at the same token, you can lose to any team if you're not on it. It's very, very difficult to predict these League One this season.
For sure. Martin, do you have any questions for Danny before we sign off?
I just wonder, are you just generally as a Northampton fan, will there come a point where you think it would be really good to put? It's difficult. It depends where you've come from, doesn't it? Because the idea of consolidating in League One for like 10 years depresses the likes of me and Tom and any Blackpool fan listening to this to the point of tears. And that's only because we've had it for years and years, and then we've been in the Championship and season of the Premier League. I just wonder, as a Northampton fan, is this your ceiling, or are you a club that maybe one day you realistically could get a little bit more investment and have a shot at the Championship? Because when you think of the teams that have had a go at the Championship, Burton not that long ago, etc. Wickham have had a go at it. This can't be it, can it, for Northampton? So I just wonder, there's a team that maybe is kind of quite comfortable being here, whereas we are frustratingly annoyed at being in it for 3 seasons, never mind 6, 7 seasons, whatever. I just wondered what your perspective on it was.
When you said this can't be it, I very nearly went into Mick McCarthy for a second. It was very difficult.
Please don't. I get trauma.
Of course, yes. Yeah, let's not do that. No, I think you touched on the word's investment, isn't it? These days, it's harder and harder, and to compete. Like I think in the old days, we can. When I was sort of growing up in the 90s, we went up from what is now League 2. We then went straight into a playoff final in League 1 the next season. We carried that momentum on. We didn't spend any money. It was just a case of bringing in the characters, and you could fight that way and bring in free transfers and loans and characters who are gonna get you a certain level. I think it's getting harder and harder to do that now, because
it is.
Even the bottom 8, 10 of League 1 right now, they're going to be investing in January again. They're going to go again, and everybody's investing. We get priced out of players quite quickly because other teams come in and offer that little bit more. It's frustrating. I think there is a certain ceiling in the minute until there is extra investment. It's not a sort of knock on our owners at all, because if you just don't have that kind of investment, you can't move on. You can't do it. You can't. There's no point spending silly money, because we've seen teams before do that. We've seen Carlisle. Look at what's happened to them the last couple of years, because they invested too much and they went for it, and they still went down, and then they've ended up going down again. It's happened to a lot of teams. You've got to. It's not a sexy answer to say you want to kind of stay in League 1 and compete while you can and wait for that extra investment. But I think that's just where we're at the minute. We don't want to be. We want to be establishing ourselves at League 1 level. We've been up and down too much in the last few years. We need to try and do the best we can every season to stay up and push on, and then there's the occasion when you hit on something and you can have a go at the playoffs maybe. But for now it is a lot of kind of just fighting the best way we can with what we've got.
Yeah, well, on paper we had an amazing transfer window in the summer, but you wouldn't know it because we may as well have signed a load of free transfers and journeymen and just not bothered, because we are this sort of level of investment shouldn't get you 18th, really. Should be a little bit higher than that, but no guarantees. But like you say, absolutely. It's hard even when you've got money. If you don't spend it wisely, or you're a little bit short in some areas, it's not a foregone conclusion, and I think too many fans think it is.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. It's not all down to your personal investment and stuff. It's just what others are offering around you, and what other teams can take players just by offering that little bit more. That's the key to us at the moment, I think, and not being able to attract that with what we've got.
Sure.
And any more questions for us, Danny, before we sign off?
No, I don't think so. No, all good.
We spoke quite a lot last night, didn't we? So, and just quickly, where can we find the preview show for obviously this game with myself on it, etc., and any other pods that they may want to listen to post match?
Yeah, no, thanks again for coming on last night. Really good chat last night. So we did a preview show, which will go out tomorrow on Friday. That's at Cobblers to me on Twitter and all the social media. Probably the best place to go and find that tomorrow morning when it drops.
And then the post match, if anyone wants to listen.
That'll be on Monday. It'll come out Monday.
I hope you're very miserable on it. And
we were last week. Possibly. I can see that I'm striking fear into every Blackpool fan's hearts with this.
You are. I expect a 2-0 loss now on Saturday, just like I did with Port Vale when he said we're not going to win, and I just knew it at the start of the match. Even that.
Well, you should be worried because after the game at your place, according to Steve Bruce, we were the only team that were going to win it. Which I was watching it thinking, no team's going to win this because they're both equally terrible. So God knows what will happen, but beware because we've improved a bit since then. So it'll probably be 10-0.
Danny, thank you so much for coming on, mate, and thank you for dealing with the delay as well.
I know, all good. Yeah, all good. No, thanks a lot, and all the best for the rest of the season after this as well.
You too, mate.
Yeah, nice you too, buddy. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Martin, thank you. I will go and drink my karma before I go to bed. My StreamYard crashing. I'd like to say thank you to everyone in the chat. It's been a lively one. And we'll be back next week. We've got Stockport, haven't we? So we'll try and squeeze in potentially a pod on Monday. Hopefully to review a much better performance at home and 3 points. And I'll try and squeeze in a guest if we can. A quick turnaround. It feels like Christmas all again, and back-to-back home games, isn't it? So Bloomfield Road, and then 2 away games. I think we've got Luton and then Huddersfield, maybe. I think
you might be right.
And then we've got back-to-back home games again.
We have
against Mansfield and then someone else.
We need to win the home games and pick up the odd win here and there. We should be all right.
It's a shame that we look forward more at the moment, kind of, to the away games, don't we? But I hate to say it, and I am live, and it is our closing words. But I'm very confident going into Saturday, and I think with the signings we've got, and Everett as measured as he is at the moment, I fingers crossed, as Danny said, we get an early goal and we can enjoy our afternoon and sort of refresh ourselves and look up the league again. But I'm not taking anything for granted. It's going to be a difficult match and one we need to pull ourselves out of course. But Martin, thank you so much for coming on this evening, and thank you for staying on while I was off.
My internet thanks you don't mock. Internet up north is obviously better than the affluent south.
Yes, and we'll be back again. Thank you for everybody in the chat, and we'll be back later on early next week to review this game and preview Stockport from everybody that's on Orange Podcast. Have a great rest of your evening and a great rest of your week, and we'll speak next week.